All right, guys, here we go. There's been a lot of talk, obviously, about the coronavirus, and now people are talking about whether or not the 2020 election should be postponed or could it be postponed. Why are people talking about this? Well, I got my notes over here. Because Louisiana has postponed their primary from this Tuesday to a couple of months out. So the questions that are coming up is: can the general election be postponed? Can it be canceled? Can the president cancel it? Have other elections been canceled? So let's go through this. First off, could the 2020 election be postponed or canceled? It would be very difficult for that to happen. So there is a federal law that puts the election the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. It's been a federal law since 1845. And for that to change, it would have to be an act of Congress. So, Congress, House of Representatives, Senate, they'd have to put a bill together. They'd have to vote on it. Then the president would have to sign off on it. And of course, it could be challenged by the court. Now, let's say they were able to do that. That's that's a possibility. Still difficult that everybody in Congress would agree, as you know. But the next step is that there's a constitutional mandate, completely different than just writing a law. They'd have to make a constitutional amendment to change the date that the new Congress has to be sworn in and the date that the new president would have to be sworn in. So let's say they push the election off from November, the first Tuesday after the first Monday. They really couldn't push it off that far because by January 3rd, the new Congress has to be sworn in. That's constitutional mandate, meaning you would have to have an amendment. So 2/3 of Congress would have to agree to it, and then 3/4 of the legislators, if I'm saying that right, of the states would have to agree to it. So it ain't fucking happening. Also, the new president has to be sworn in by 2020. So the likelihood of the general election being moved isn't going to happen. Now, does the president have the power with his with an executive order to move the election? No, he does not. He has lots of powers with executive orders. This is one of them that he cannot do. And a good thing that he can't. I do support Trump, so you'll probably turn off this video right now. But I do not support any president using a pandemic or using a terrorism or anything to push off an election. We've had elections in wartime and times of threat. We had elections during the Civil War. These are the most important things. Everybody should have the right to decide who our elected officials are. So if you people on November 3rd want to get rid of Trump, or well, I say November 3rd, it just popped in my head, but if you people want to get rid of Trump on the first Tuesday after the first Monday, you deserve the right to. If people like us want to vote for him again, we deserve the right to. Plain and simple. Elections. Oh no. That's not the corona. Oh my God, maybe it is. So, on the federal level, elections, especially when the election can't be changed, it's just not going to happen. So, people that are panicking, thinking that's going to happen, it isn't going to happen. Now, let's talk about it on the state level. Well, actually, let's talk about the process of voting in the general election. The guidelines for voting in the general election are set by the states, which is why voting for the general election is difficult. It should be everybody should vote the same way throughout the entire country. That's why we have so many fucking problems when it comes to the general election. So state to state, they have their own guidelines. So the states could make it easier for us to vote, maybe electronically, maybe by mail, but they still have to have that election on the same day as everybody else, the first Tuesday after the first Monday of November. They don't have a choice. How we vote, they can do that. They can absentee ballots. They can do, like I said, they can make it easier for you to vote, not to be in public. Now, can states change the date of their primary? Absolutely. They have the power to do that. The governor in most states has the right to do that. But the problem is, It's not really a problem for Trump right now because he's going to get the nomination. For the Democrats, they have their own rules in the DNC that all the primaries have to be done by a certain date. I think it's like June 2nd or something like that. And then all the delegates need to be decided by June 20th. So if your state doesn't have the election, I don't know if that's the actual, it might be July. Whatever the dates are, if your state hasn't had your primary, your vote's not going to be counted and the DNC is going to move forward and they're going to select their candidate. Plain and simple. Now, it doesn't mean you're not going to get to vote in the general election, which you will. So, plain and simple. The general election will not be moved and should not be moved. If it were to be moved, it would take a lot to do it. Like I said, Congress would have to pass a bill, Trump would have to sign it. And then after that happened, you'd have to have a constitutional amendment to move the dates that the new Congress and the new president would have to be sworn in. So the likelihood of this happening, not. Well, there you have it. Hopefully that was a little bit helpful for you guys on the fact that the election will not be postponed and the election will not be moved. So you will have your opportunity to vote for Trump or you will have your opportunity to remove Trump. Good day.